Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mel DeWeese, and I have been working in AI systems since March of 2026, so it's been about 4 months. And I believe that the more people that work with AI and cryptocurrency, the better our collective future will be. And really, my thought around that, I have a couple of thoughts, but for example, if we all outsource our AI and the services that we use for AI to big, huge corporations, all of our information, our personal, private, the way we think, the way we solve problems, our business ideas, how we operate our business, will all be stored in data centers. And data centers have a lot of problems. There's security issues, there's data collection issues as far as who has access to the data and who doesn't, who has access to the latest, greatest models, who doesn't. And if we take ownership of our own data, which does require some investment, it requires investment of your time in learning. It takes mental fortitude and changing your habits, changing your lifestyle. It involves buying some hardware and putting your private information onto hardware and downloading some local models. The good news here is that a lot of local models, a lot of AI intelligence is available 100% for free online. So your investment is really your ability to learn and execute and buy some hardware, of course. But the good news is that although hardware is getting more expensive, unfortunately, the models are getting better. And the models, what the models can do with less RAM, now is much better. They're much higher quality than they were even just a month or a couple of months ago. So it's changing rapidly in a good and positive direction. But today, what I want to do is go through, just give you guys updates. I've had a couple of people reach out to me, Mel, are you okay? Because my last video, I get dramatic, of course, and hyperbolic. I speak in hyperbole sometimes. It's the saleswoman in me. I've been in sales the majority of my life. And let's go here and view channel. Let's see where we picked up. Where did we leave off? Where did we leave off? So I called it my last prompt. And I was being quite dramatic. It's not exactly my last prompt, but what I have been doing is I have been working in Fable, Claude AI, Anthropic's product here. So I did, and when Fable first dropped, it was very capable and it was extremely exciting. So I did a couple of things. I asked it to help me basically reorganize some of my departments, and I used it to give me some very basic systems information. And my thought here was that Fable is the best model. How is Fable Fable? How is Fable routing requests and processes? And I wanted to extract that information and give it to my Hermes. And I have to say that for the most part so far, it worked. And I feel that my Hermes is performing much better, to the point where I don't even want to use Fable anymore. Part of it is because Fable has been downgraded so much that it's just frustrating. It's missing details. It's not crawling the memory like it was in the beginning. It's not aggregating all information like it was. If you gave it a prompt when we first got it, it would aggregate all the information and really distill it all down to give you the best answer. And now it feels more like Opus did, and Opus does. I'm not, like I said, it's causing more problems now than it's fixing. So, for example, I have been doing a systems walkthrough with my agent. So we're basically going, since I've made changes inside the system, like I updated a couple of rules and I updated it with some definitions. So I was using some terms and it seemed that the memory was not consistently picking up what I was laying down. So I decided to create a list of terms for the system so that it understands what words mean in different contexts. Because, for example, in the insurance world, in the insurance industry, we say, let's take the group to market. And when you go to market, or you use the term marketing in the area of insurance, it means you're sending out requests for proposals, RFPs, RFQs, requests for quotes. And marketing does not mean the same thing in that context in the rest of the world. The rest of the world, marketing is ads and ads. Marketing world is ads and content and articles and PR, and you get the idea, right? So there's different meanings to different words in different contexts and sometimes in different projects, because I might be working on different types of projects. And so just to minimize confusion, I went through and defined some terms. And then we had to make sure that all the terms were saved in the right places and that all the new information that we took in was being shared in the right places. So, for example, it's all pretty much over on my laptop. So listen, lexicon, website engine running end to end. So I had this. So what happened was, is I had a presentation engine. I've come on here before and asked you to build out your own presentation pipeline. I think it's a fabulous place for people to start. And the reason why is security. You don't need to understand high levels of security to create a presentation. There are different use cases for AI, and some people keep AI just in marketing and sales because marketing and sales is safe, right? It's all information that for the most part is shared publicly. So your concerns about security breaches and protocols are not going to be as high as working with a client and having personal, private, protected information exchanged with a client in different areas like health insurance or healthcare or banking, or trading or moving money. Anything regarding money or private information, or HIPAA, is going to hit a different level of security. It just is. And so I recommend people start out with a presentation. Start out with your sales. If you're playing with AI, use it for marketing, use it for sales. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was using it to make my life easier in regards to making presentations for this channel and making general presentations in my work life. And that all stopped because I decided to integrate a website engine. And I decided to make one engine. It's a website engine that branches off at the base. So the first question the agent has, and he's supposed to send me a form, it's an intake form to ask whether or not this project is a corporate website or a presentation. And from there, there's two different paths. And so we're doing what I'm calling a systems walkthrough, where we go through each step of the process, each automation, until it runs end to end seamlessly. So there are parts of the process that can be automated, and there are parts of the process that need human input, right? And with the presentations, I wanted less human input, and sometimes there's less, sometimes there's more. Sometimes the trigger for a presentation is me just having a thought about a new way I want to explain something. I send it to the agent, I ask them to research studies and case studies, and then they're supposed to produce a website, because in today's day and age, it seems that presentations are moving away from PowerPoint and slides. PowerPoint and slides don't make sense. One, you have to pay for PowerPoint. Two, HTML is just better. Even if you do like slides, some people saying the slide deck is dead. But even if you do want to create a slide deck, still you can create an interactive HTML. Writing code is so cheap now. You can write code with an agent, and it's making HTML and interactive HTML and websites so much cheaper across the board. And there are skills and tools you can download from Hugging Face or GitHub that people have created tools for building websites. Okay. And there's all different types of websites. I learned quite a bit about different types of websites that I had no idea about. There's 3JS is one. And this is code. It's basically all different types of tools for free. And you've got this 3JS editor, build 3D websites with AI. So let's see, build a website, luxury cars. Okay, so you have to continue with Google. I just want to show you an example. Oh, come on. Yes, I have 20 million. These aren't even all of my Google accounts. It's crazy. I don't even know how many Google accounts I have, to be honest, guys. Oh, so I have to have a coin balance. Oh, I kind of like the idea of this. Not that it's really given me anything yet. Okay, top games this week. So people are building games in 3JS. Let's see. Workspace 3JS. Hook a fish. Hook a fish. Start. Oh my God, I love this. So 3JS is supposed to be this 3D. Oh my God, this is a problem for people like me. Oh my God, my daughter is going to love this. Oh my gosh. Why do I love this so much? Okay, I'm going to go back. This is Seals, SEELES.ai. So these are all games. I want to see if they have community. So this is the community. All right, let's go to Hookfish. Oh my God, so cool. Awards, top website. Here we go. Winning websites, awards, AWWWARDS. So on the moon. So these are some of the very, very top websites. And not to say that everybody's going to be able to build websites like this. It does take, like a ton of skill and things. But like when I asked Fable about it, they basically said, well, to build a website like this, you would need $50,000 to $100,000. When you go into here, if it doesn't work in a certain way, the judges know, and the judges will, grade you down. Oh my God. Explore. I can't even figure out how to find the site that I want. Creators Hub. So these different sites have different, they have this immersive quality and the ability to morph in front of your eyes, or if you bring your mouse over it, the circle changes or the stars change, and it's visually interactive, which is fun. So I wanted a way to use some of these new tools and had to kind of take a step back and figure out what was realistic and what wasn't for my agents, and maybe what a good step up is. Not necessarily creating something perfect, but just making something better than what it is. The fun, addicting part of AI is going over to Fable, typing in, give me a website that is written in 3JS about X, Y, and Z, and getting an output in seconds. The hard part is figuring out how to do that in your own system. And I am not, let's see, where the hard part is figuring out how you want a system to work and going through step by step with the agent and telling them exactly where you want to do it, where you want it sent, giving them examples. I mean, really, just like any employee. I don't want to say just like, I want to say employers understand that when you have a new employee, it takes time for that employee to be giving more than they're taking, right? You have this training phase where you are pouring extra time, energy, and effort into that employee before they are producing more, giving you your time back. Because the whole idea of hiring an employee is so that the producer or the business owner or the manager gets some more time back to do other activities, income generating activities. And there's a place in that process where it's very painful because you're putting in more effort and not getting the results that you were even before you hired that employee. Because before you hired the employer, you weren't having to train them 4 hours a day on their job, or X amount of time, or an hour a day, whatever the training protocol is. And even after an employee is trained, mistakes happen. They don't do it right the first time. The output isn't as good as it was or as it needs to be. And so more training is required. And similar with agents. So when you do a process, you tell an agent, this is the process I want. You've given them an SOP, you've given them workflows, you've given them org charts, you've given them rules of operating, and the output still isn't what you thought. The first time you run through it, there's going to be problems. There's going to be problems, even if you've prearranged ahead of time how you want the system to operate. Even if you've prearranged ahead of time how you want the system to operate, the first time you walk through that automation, it's going to have problems. There are going to be mistakes. The agent will still have questions, even though you felt like it was extremely clear. There's the agent's still going to ask just basic questions. Okay. So in here, man, I wish I could show you more, but there's a couple of things that are very basic that I have my agent do. So I have a couple of things that we are finally walking through and finally producing on a regular basis. It's very, very fundamental. And again, I've rebuilt all this. So every time you make a change to your system, you'll find that you'll want to do a process walkthrough, because we can't expect, anytime new information enters in or a new process enters into the system, it causes confusion. Nobody knows where it needs to be filed. Or you think that it's obvious it should be filed with, if it's related to email, every project that's related to email needs to be updated. And you can even say that, and it's hard to know if that's exactly what happened or not until you walk through that process with your agent. I wish there was a way to organize this better. And I'm sure there is. Because I want to go through it in order. So let's see, is there a way to hide all this? Okay, so I've been going through hundreds of emails. And one thing that we're doing here is, I don't even think that's a good place to start. So I've got YouTube dailies, I've got Mel's daily brief. And I guess this is a good place to kind of land because the daily brief is a part of my process and kind of cascades into other processes. So as I'm working in the system with the agents, so much happens, or so much can happen in a day. It's hard for me to digest everything that happened. So I thought I would really love to have my agent just tell me what happened today. And I wanted it in audio because I'm moving all around. I've got kids, there's poopy diapers, there's things spilt on the floor. I have client calls every day. I run a small business. My husband runs a small business. I'm doing invoicing for him sometimes. And life's just very busy. So the more flexible and impact, the more, it's about customizing every process to my wills and tastes and desires and making the system operate in a way that is better for me. So the system isn't, if you guys build your system the same way that I do it, you're probably going to hate it. You'd be like, this sucks. Doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense to me in my head. Okay. But for me, I like to have audio. I'm very auditorial. I always have been. Reading and writing did not come I'm not a gifted. I was never great at English. I was never great at writing. I was never great at reading comprehension. I was always very low. And auditorially, I can digest things better. I'm just very auditorial. Okay. So I know that about myself, and I wanted to create a nightly podcast. I ended up calling it the nightly podcast. And the first step in creating the nightly podcast is, okay, well, what do I want in the nightly podcast? Well, I want to know what happened today with Hermes. So the first step is to have Hermes create a daily brief. So I had several attempts at the daily brief. As you can see, like these first couple attempts were not exactly what I wanted, and I wanted it in plain English. And so we have been working through that. To get the first step is to get the daily brief from Hermes in a digestible way that I can understand. Okay. Then that information goes over to an agent that creates the podcast. Okay. And the podcast is a conglomeration of Mel's YouTube channel. So my start out with that was I created a YouTube expert agent, and that agent's data set is based off of my YouTube. So it transcribed every single video I've ever done. I've done quite a few, believe it or not. And I have them tagged for different topics. So I have wellness, I have health, I have all the coaching. I used to do full lectures for all of my clients, all my wellness clients, on health and wellness and my philosophies around that and why I do things a certain way. And I wanted all that saved. I'm like, okay, I need to bank this. I mean, I could probably take that and put it into a book, for God's sakes. I actually did write a book a while ago. It's a bikini handbook or something like that. Self-published on Amazon. years ago. It's not well written. It's very executional, like very like this is what you do. So it'd be kind of. I was just thinking it'd be kind of cool just to have all that. Make sure I have all of it, organize it. What if I want my agents to write a book in all these different categories one day and just put it on Amazon? I don't know. I'm just thinking of ways to take the information that I've put my fingerprint on, keep it here with me, and even if it is out there on the internet, keep it here with me, keep it organized, and build my system customized to me that helps me in the best way possible, right? And so now, even though we have this bank, if I release a new episode, I want the daily podcast to be a continuation of the topics that I've brought up on my YouTube channel because I've had a big range of topics that I've put on my YouTube over the years. Some of the videos I've actually had to delete because they were flagged for this and that, and there was lots of censorship going on, and I've been put on naughty lists and all of the other things like that. So anyway, I now when a new episode comes out, I'm like, okay, wouldn't it be cool if my agent helped me continue the conversation? Because I don't want to keep jumping around. I don't want to have to keep thinking constantly about what I'm going to talk about or guess what people want me to talk about or what are people searching for in the areas that I'm in the topics that I'm bringing up, and what's the latest news and all this stuff. So why don't I just have agents that do all that for me, bring it together with the Hermes Daily Digest and create a podcast for me to listen to every night that one helps me digest the day's work that I put in and help me cement what I've learned. So on a lot of this stuff, it was getting him to write out the daily brief in a format that I liked. And I liked this format: who, what, why, where, when, how long, and what was the lesson. And then it turned out he wasn't updating his information. He was just sending the same shit every time. And the other thing they do is they say, and they've always done this to me, is, oh, okay, I give them feedback. I'm like, this is old, this is from yesterday, or you didn't do a sweep, this isn't recent enough. I want it to be run at this time or whatever. And they would say, okay, we'll make sure we note that for tomorrow. Like everything's like later. Oh, the next cron job that runs. It's like, I want it fixed now. I want you to come up with a solution now. So that's why I created the walkthrough mode and the cleanup mode, because the idea in the cleanup mode is Hermes, because he was like being very apologetic when he would find something quote unquote bad or wrong. Say, no, this is to be expected. You're doing exactly what you were trained to do. We are in walkthrough mode. Our job right now is to walk through every step of the automation. If we find a bug or find an error or find a broken piece, we fix it. And then we run it again from the beginning until the end. And if another piece breaks, you fix that. And you repeat the process until the automation runs end to end. And so that's what we've been doing. And we've been going back through being very disciplined, that every time I see something that I don't like, I have to go back, I have to give feedback right away and be very specific on what email I did or which brief he did that I didn't like. And I think that we've worked out all of the brief issues. And now we've moved on to presentation. See, there's been just all sorts of fun things that happened. Okay, so then I'll talk about that later. Presentation ready. Website. So is this in order, Mel's? Because my idea was to just go through this with you and show Yeah, we have alarm systems for certain processes. He's supposed to message me. Crypto Council fix. Oh yeah, I've had to. So in regards to the Crypto Council, I'm meshing two of the softwares together right now because one software did the draft night really well and the personas really well, and then the one before that, version 2, did the debates really well. So I'm trying to take components from one and components from the other and get them to merge together. And I thought that that would be simple, but it has not been. And I had to take a step back because I have to make sure that my briefs are working. Now that I've rebuilt the system, I have to start at the basics. I have to get the basics first. I have to make sure he's emailing me the information that I asked for, which is the briefs and the podcast. And then we're working through the website engine, which the website engine and the presentations engine have been merged together. Okay. And then I did an away mode where, okay, when I'm away, this is how the system works. Because if I'm not right here next to my computer, there has to be different ways that I work. And so that's a really great thing to think about. So this was all draft night. Inbox alert, draft night now matches. It doesn't match. It's a mess. And I'm not picking that one up until the website engine works the way it's supposed to. Let's see. Away mode. 3 fixes. Welcome back. Crypto Council. CRM digest. Crypto, new artifacts. Yeah, it's like one of those things where it looked a certain way. I like the dark mode, but I'm like, just get it to work for now. These are older because for a while I had my forms, I had my intake forms, I had all that worked out, and now they forgot everything. So I'm just having to go back through and make sure everybody knows what we're doing. So Mel's Daily Digest, Guardian, HQ, Decision Card, Content, Pipeline. The explainers, 5 departments proven, kind of, not really. We're kind of going through those right now. Library, we went through and we did a library, template library, style board, reactions, readme, style links, immersive landing, founder ecosystem, trusting business, case studies, announcements, galleries. I think I have all this, actually. Because he has produced, I'm trying to find a intake form, my brief. This is one of my podcasts, but I want to find it in the tonight's podcast. Let's see what this podcast has to say. I think that this system I'm using does not capture audio. So that was one of the first podcasts. And I'm like, okay, well, the clone voice isn't exactly, I don't love it. And I can clean all that up later, right? I'm just looking for function right now. And I am looking for big rocks to move. I'm not looking at I was focusing on the little itty bitty tiny details of it, and it was causing more confusion than it was worth. So I've decided to just focus on the big stuff. So my cloned voice is quote unquote working, right? So that was the first kind of thing that I didn't realize how difficult that would be. It was easy in the fact that I just told Hermes to, go to my YouTube channel and extract audio and train a cloned voice with my audio. And let's see if I can find the next iteration. Yeah, and just stuff like this where I'm like, okay, I want the I want it to look like this, and I want this, and and then I get an email that's like, dead up full path through operator notify status. It's a body of email, like, has nothing in it. I'm like, WTF, animes? The link doesn't work. Like, nothing works. Why are you saying? And when this stuff happens, like, because I was cooking, right? In here, I was like getting these open the explainer and submit for review, and certain things were happening, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it seemed like we were making progress. And then it takes a turn where you get an email like this, and you're like, what, WTF? And in those moments, I've learned I just need to take a deep breath, because getting upset with the agent just throws them off. At least with my Hermes, he can be very sensitive. And I don't want him to hide things from me. And I feel that if I get too upset, they just start hiding things from you. Even though I've told them they're not supposed to, and this and that, and he hasn't yet, to my knowledge. But I don't. I want to be very careful with that. And then we were back and forth because I was being very stubborn about my comment browser on my phone. So I use Comet as my default browser on my PC and on my phone, and we were back and forth, and I did change it to Chrome. I tried Chrome and I tried Safari for a couple of things, and I did work out. I mean, we did work out why Chrome was having a hard time, because it doesn't work. I mean, not Chrome, but the Chromium. So even though Comet uses the Chromium base for coding, it works a little different than Google Chrome for forms, because it doesn't have, I guess, a sound click that registers when you click something. It uses a different mechanism. So I had to have it, I didn't write it, but I had to have it find that, and then write my forms in a certain way so that I could open them from my phone. And we figured all that out. It was working beautifully. And then somewhere along all the updates, everybody forgot how to do all these things. And so, and where to find them and all that. One thing that I was really happy about was the Hermes update. So I don't know if y'all remember, but I had a whole Claude debacle where Claude just spun out, and we became unusable, and I switched to everything over to Hermes. And in that process, I set up lots of backups. Like, Hermes, my operator agent, gets backed up, and we have all these files, these backup files. And so that's been really wonderful, even though there's certain things, like little things that did get lost along the way, a lot of things didn't get lost. Like when I asked about the latest Hermes updates, my system did exactly what it was supposed to do. It said, let me research, let me see what other people are doing, let me create a copy of myself in case this doesn't go right. I mean, it just walked through that process so beautifully. And where the hell are my podcasts? I was just nightly podcast. I don't want podcasts. Let's see, received episode 14, lost in the dry run. So this is the issue I'm working on. See, coming tonight. It's always tonight. Audio was destroyed in the dry run. Yeah. Fixed and shipped. We'll see. It's been doing this to me. So resend nightly podcasts last night went out. Let's see. Yeah, see, he destroyed it already. Because it didn't run. It's not running right. Let's see what this one does. Because I did listen to one this morning, and I'll explain to you what changed and then what ended up not being right. I think it was number 13 that finally ran closer to what I wanted. Oh, for God's sakes. See, this is what happens to me. I get so fucking pissed. Yeah, bad gate. This one's probably going to do the same shit. Nightly podcast. Yeah, see? And then it like said this. It's like, okay, I fixed it. And then it like, here it comes. And then I get an email like this. And there was like a couple of things where it was the context, like things just got compressed. I wasn't by my computer. Like certain things happen where like for example, let's say I tell it to do something, I walk away, or I do work, on my PC. I'm working with a client, I do a phone call, I do a meeting, I go back and I missed a sudo command. It wanted to get in there and it needed me to approve something and I wasn't there to hit approve. So it just goes off and does something else. And then I come back and something was missed and I don't know that it was missed. And now the session's really long and things got compressed and halfway written. And so I'm having to go back through and say, review yesterday's work and find anything that wasn't run all the way. So I'm having him do that. Let's see if this one works. I just want to find one, because there was one that had me going back and forth with the YouTube expert. I should have saved it, but I didn't, of course. I thought it was episode 13. I know it was 8 minutes long. And I know there was one that said it was done, and then it was like 5 seconds, and my voice was not transcribed. So it was one thing to get it to do a podcast in my clone voice. And then I said, it's just too boring with just me talking. I don't like hearing just me talking. So I wanted it to be more conversation between me and the YouTube expert agent. So I picked a voice for the YouTube expert and we went back and forth. And that was fine. I said I was okay with running it that way for a couple of days and letting it kind of do its thing. And then even though I didn't 100% love the output, I'm like, okay, well, we just need to get the function down, right? Get it functioning where it's doing the voice, it's combining two voices, and it's doing a back and forth exchange. And even though I didn't necessarily love what they were talking about, okay, no. Okay, where's episode 13? Come on. Where'd you go? Episode 13, press play. Come on, baby. Give it to me. There we go. Okay, finally figured that out. Where am I? Okay, so this is recent, episode 13. So this was the first episode that we had. So I want them to send me a nightly podcast every night with audio using my own clone voice and the full transcript, because I want to be able to read it and I want to be able to hear it. Okay, and so it's broken it out into different segments. It's starting out with the YouTube expert, and then it goes to segment 2, which is Mel and my clone voice, and then YouTube expert again, and then segment 4 is Mel again, and then YouTube expert.
Structure conversation you just had makes me realize I'm doing this backwards. I should be building in public, showing the messy middle of figuring out AI systems, not waiting until I have it all polished.
I don't have a recent video to review here, Mel. The channel
I'm like, okay, fine, great. This is great. I like the progress we've made here. This was like a couple days ago. This is a resend. So this was, only 2 days ago. It feels like weeks ago. Okay, guys. But a couple of days ago, I finally did this nightly podcast, and I'm like, okay, cool. We're cooking with gas. Now I can just refine the way that they're responding here, right? Like making these responses better, not just, the Melissa one, make it better, and then make the YouTube expert better. And then now it's just been running with the same data every night. So I've been trying to reinforce, like, okay, this gets updated. The content, your daily digest for, of course, if the daily digest isn't updating, then this doesn't get updated. And then if it doesn't do a check on, and if the YouTube expert doesn't check the channel, for a new video, it runs with old information. And so and then what happens sometimes too is Hermes logs in and he sees, oh, there's an audio there already. I'll just use that one that we, it's like, no, it's supposed to happen every night. So we're working out all of those different flows, like what gets updated, make sure we remember to do this. And we are making progress. But because it's a daily, and this is why I like the dailies, because could I do this once a week? Probably. But I've found that with processes like this, if it's not done daily, the progress is just so slow. It's just so slow. Because you're only really checking the process once a week, where this one now I'm having to work on it every day to make it better. And the system doesn't really have an excuse to be like, oh, well, that runs on Sunday. That's why it's not ready. It's like, okay, well, I understand it runs on Sunday, but I want to sample now and, have all these arguments. And then the other fun thing, so this is just an example of stupid shit that happens, right? I'm like, why isn't this happening? Like, nothing's working. Like, it's supposed to run at this time. Why didn't it run? Well, apparently one of my computers was at like Great Britain time for some reason, and then the other one was Pacific Standard Time. So I had to go back in and make sure all of them were obviously running, because one thinks it's midnight and another one thinks it's 8 a.m. Like, we've got a problem. Of course, shit's not going to run on time. So little stupid things like that, you could do everything perfect. Think out the system. Okay, this talks to that, and then that goes over here, and then this does that, and then this 30% of that gets taken in, and 30% of this, and then you combine it all together and create an output. Have all that worked out, and then your fucking computer has the wrong time zone. It's like, or for me, the kid comes over and unplugs your mouse, and then you're trying to figure out why your mouse isn't working. Or he likes to take, I like these mice with the ball, and I have like 5 of them, and he just takes them and he like throws them for the dog or whatever. I'm like, I'm just glad nobody's choked on any of these. And then I've tried to replace these, and there's different ones with different textures that if you don't get the right texture, if you get the aftermarket one that's too smooth, it doesn't fucking work. So I've been through all of that. Okay. So I have a lot of really dumb things that have happened, and that's just how it goes. That's just part of life. That's living with little people. And even if I didn't live with the little people, like, I'm sure I still would have had the wrong time zone on one of my computers. Like, I didn't check. I didn't set it up for whatever reason. When I set up the computer, I just turned it on and was like, let's go. Let's do this. Time to crush. And then I get slapped for it weeks later, months later sometimes. So little bugs like that have been what I have run into, and it's nothing catastrophic, nothing bad. It's just part of walking through these kinds of systems. And the idea is that once it's set up, I'll be getting that time back, right? So like, once I have my daily podcast, I'll be able to think of better topics for my YouTube channel and really think out my topics better and be more apprised of like news and stuff. And once that's all done, then I'll be able to do more on this channel again, and just have my processes back. I'm very process oriented person. I have certain things that I'm used to having in certain places, and I get very used to workflows pretty quickly. And once one of them is off, it's like, all right, back to the drawing board. Like, let's rethink all this, because if I'm going to be redoing this, I want it done in a way that's going to work for me for a while, because I can't be over here iterating all the time constantly. I've given myself these months to iterate, but at this point I need to just stop and produce. So I'm like, okay, we've done these iterations and it's good enough. Like, I have a good idea on how I want certain things to work. So that's been a really great thing, that I do have that foundation, because I've walked through these system rebuilds enough to be like, no, I liked it this way. I liked it when we did, this one over here, this system, this certain form. I liked it in this format. I liked it in dark mode. I liked the drop downs, giving me options and then an other and being able to respond in other. There's just little certain things that I like, and I'm very particular, and I don't move forward until it's the way I like it. I just don't. I'm kind of stubborn that way. So I'm kind of caught up on this nightly podcast. Once the nightly podcast, I'm working on, I guess I pretty much touch the nightly podcast every day. And then the other project I'm working on is the website engine. All right. So my husband is a welder. Okay. And one of the things that I've been working on is a website for him. And there is a process for the website engine. So the website engine, I don't have anything. Website samples are built. Oh my God. What was the key? Not that. Not a misspelled word. Okay, so I'm going to do, okay, website. When was this? It was just like today. All right, so the first step in the process is the first step is an intake card. Is this website a corporate website or is it a presentation? If it's a presentation, it goes down a different pipeline. And if it's a corporate website, it goes through to the next form, which is supposed to just right now it's just capturing the company name, the web address, the industry type, and then the color preferences. And then I submit the intake form. And then that is supposed to generate 3 sample websites from templates that I gave to him that I got from Fable. Okay. And the look 1 is called Moment, and look 2 is Immersive Landing. Look 3 is Trusting Business. And at first he was just sending these, and then the links weren't working. It was a total nightmare. It wasn't a nightmare, but it was, it was agent shit, agent halfway done stuff. Really? Oh, it's because I have quite a few that are still in my inbox. I thought I had deleted them all, but I'll open them here for you and we'll go through them. Nightly podcast, backlog from, oh, this is where they were all hiding. They were all in my inbox. I was like, where are all the emails I wanted to look at? Yeah, so the presentation part is not working. It's still very confused about the presentation part. Got an intake form, so he sends me a confirmation. He got my form. This is the daily brief, nightly podcast. Yeah, page not found. Nightly podcast. This was number 13. Yes, that we were. So this one, number 13 of the podcast.
Looking at the data from January.
See, this is the nightly podcast from Friday. Yeah, see, it just started again with the same
Looking
script.
at the latest data
so it's
from
not updating the script. Open the form. We did that. Okay, and then he sent me. We did the intake form, filled out the name of the business, the colors he likes, and all that kind of stuff. And then I am supposed to pick an option that I like. Okay, so I did submit that already. That's why it's saying it's used. But so I was able to click these 3 links. It doesn't look the way, so I wanted it HTML. I wanted like them to look nicer than this, but I'm like, okay, right now I'm just focusing on function. I'm not going to get caught up on the form right this second. Okay, so this was one of the samples with very minimal input. Okay, So it came up with a basic website with a phone number to call. Okay. And the next step is he's supposed to put in placeholders for a logo and for images. Okay. And that's what we're going to work through today. And what is that process and what does that look like? So that was one sample. This is another sample. Actually picked this one to move forward with. And then sample 3. This is more editorial. Okay. So that's where I am with this process. It is like everything's fine. I'm fine. I'll be okay. I have not stopped using AI if that's what everybody's worried about. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm home, but I'm not going anywhere. Okay. I'm still working on all this stuff and more to come. I am hopeful that as I work through a lot of these little housekeeping items, that I'm going to really start cooking with gas. I know it feels like I've been saying that for a while. My husband's like, uh, when is all this supposed to work exactly? I'm like, well, it's always going to be a thing because things change so much and it's a very complex system. So I'm sure there'll always be troubleshooting involved. But once I get some of these just like very basic functions working the way that they're supposed to again, I am sure that it'll start just compounding on itself and I'll finally be in a better place. But not that I'm in a bad place now. I'm not in a bad place. Like everything's fine. I know I'm very dramatic. I'm like, the system's broken. Everything's broken. But I'm just working out all those details and holding my standards on certain things like security. And I don't use Telegram. I don't use Discord for any agentic work. I want everything built in-house. And it's not, it's a harder way. It's a harder way of doing it. I'm just going a harder way. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm very stubborn and thick-skulled and thick-headed, and I like things a certain way. And I'm sure that there's a bunch of other ways to do it that are way easier than the way that I'm doing it. I'm sure I'm doing it wrong. But this is just how my brain has to learn and understand. I'm just the sort of person I have to get in there. I have to get my hands dirty. I have to see how things break and what breaks things. A lot of times I have to break things to understand, like, where's the line? I need to know where the line is with everything. That's how I got these muscles. Okay. Like I had to learn the difference between what is pain and what is discomfort. And a lot of muscle building is a lot of discomfort without causing pain for injury or injuring yourself. So that's where I am. I'm working in my system to break it to the point of seeing everything that it can do, but breaking it to the point that doesn't cause catastrophic failure and having those backups in place so that if a failure happens, it's not a catastrophic failure, right? It's not a catastrophic failure. I'm okay with failing. Like, failing is just part of the learning process, and it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm in the middle of this process, and you're watching me. I'm trying to be as transparent as I can. I do want to update the crypto council so bad, and that's really bothering me that it's not live. But I need to be mature and make sure that my daily digest is working the way it should. And my podcast, I've got enough ideas. Like, I've got enough shit to execute. The fact that I came up with this whole idea on the nightly podcast I love it. At the same time, I'm annoyed that I came up with another fucking idea that makes shit more complicated. But I think in the long run, it will be more useful to me because I am not a reader. I misread things. I misunderstand the agents. If I hear it in audio, I know I will make better decisions in the long term. So I think that the side quest of the podcast for my own selfish purposes will work better. I think I will be able to produce better YouTube content faster and get to the point better and digest my learnings of the days better and more efficiently and cut out a lot of wasted time. I just think it's going to be worth it. So, with that, thank you for hanging out with me today and watching me fumble through this. Hopefully, you all are doing great, and I will talk to y'all next time. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.